I'm Trish Lynn with the All-American Cowgirl Chicks, here with one of my favorite rodeo announcers of all times, PRCA rodeo announcer Charlie Throckmorton.
Thank you, Trish. I pay you to say that, don't I? No, it's, I told you earlier, I feed off you girls and what you do with the electricity, and because it is emotional, it's electricity, and you do a great job with all the routines. Sometimes you kind of get me worried, you know. We've had horses to fall, we've had some injuries, but that's all a part of being rodeo.
It's the Never Quit series of the All-American Cowgirl Chicks out of Weatherford, Texas on RFD Television, America's most important rural network. Stay tuned. More to come right now. This is my workplace here. While I write script, think about things. I get in here, close the doors. This is my domain right here. If you look to that picture over there of how young that Boyd Polhamus and Bob Tallman and myself, we were looking pretty good in those days. That's been well over 20 years ago.
It doesn't seem like it though, does it?
No, it doesn't, but that's pretty neat stuff. My mustache was still dark back then.
I have to ask Charlie, I know you know what the definition of cowboy is, because we're sitting.
This is the definition of a cowboy right here.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Tell me what we can educate on the youth today of really what it takes to be a true cowboy.
True cowboy to stand for respect, tradition, and values. Something I learned from this guy a long time ago. I think that we're getting back to retro nostalgia of the more simple times in this country and how it should be.
Right.
Patriotism.
Right.
Coming back. I don't think it ever left us, but it's here to stay. It's going to get better.
Well, you're such a professional in the rodeo arena, and we absolutely love your family. We love what you stand for.
Thank you.
And like I said before, when we did the New Bronzeville Rodeo, when we pull up to a rodeo arena and we see your trailer sitting there, it's a relief to us, because we know, number one, it's not that our job is easier. It's you're going to make us pull up to the plate and do our best.
You have to work for it. You can't get it out of a Cracker Jack box.
Right.
And you have to have faith in working for it.
Right.
And it'll all come to you.
Right, and not quit.
And it doesn't happen overnight.
That's exactly right.
Well, JW Stoker, it's nice to have you here in my living room, and it's nice to be here on RFD television.
I feel like I've had a great life, and actually I have. From the time I was 10 years old to now, I've had some wonderful horses, and the public needs to know how great horses really are. There's great horses like there's great people, and I've owned several of them, and I feel like I've entertained people, made them feel better. I've got to meet great people. I've got to vote for presidents, queens, kings, the works. I've been overseas on 8 tours, and life has been wonderful for me. I just wish it'd be that nice for everybody.
You know, this next man, and I guess everybody that's inducted today, Some of you will say, well, he's overdue, or she was overdue. This next man has certainly been overdue. He has made his living in the rodeo business longer than any person in the history of our sport, period, over and out. Got his first job as a kid when he was about 8 or 9 years old in 1938. He's been making a living ever since. And this man is a consummate professional. If you had to draw a caricature and do a few sentences of what a contract performer should be, you would write a description of JW Stoker. One of the nicest things he did was during World War II. He entertained troops overseas, all over. He and a guy by the name of Eddie Fisher. And he came out of that deal with his ropes, and Fisher got Liz Taylor, and I think Stoker got the best deal. A few years later, he was the first man ever to have the black light. We had no clue what black light roping was. And he turned the contract business up a notch. He's been to more foreign countries than Madeleine Albright. And he's been a star in every one of them. From Cuba to France to Finland to Venezuela, every place in the world. And he probably got more notoriety in 1988 when he was the featured contract act at the Winter Olympics at Calgary. They had a rodeo there where they matched the 5 top Canadian contestants in each event against the 5 top stateside contestants. And it was not a regular event. It was an allied event, they called it, but they gave medals, just like they did in the others. And there was people from about 40 or 50 countries all over the world saw JW Stoker spin a rope, and then he put this rope in Hot Degdee's mouth, and old Hot Degdee spun a Spanish flat, the horse did. And every telephone wire coming into Calgary was semi-jammed for a number of hours, because that's what this man did. Like fine wine, he just keeps getting better with age. Ladies and gentlemen, I'm happy to introduce my friend of a lot of years, 50 at least, Mr. JW Stoker.
Without a doubt, this is the greatest honor that I could ever receive. I only wish that Chester Reynolds, who was a personal friend of mine, were here to see it, because I know he'd be as thrilled as I am. Casey and I were kind of his buddies. As most of you know, I've worked rodeos since I was 10 years old. Been on 8 overseas tours. In fact, my horse, Hot Diggity, has probably been in more hotels than most of the people, at least in the hotel ballrooms. Anyway, rodeo has been good to me. I've got to see a lot of country. I've got to meet a lot of great friends. I've had some good ponies, some good horses. I've had a lot of good friends, not only in the United States, but overseas. In fact, they've about done everything that a friend can do to help a friend. The third thing, and most important, I think, was my parents. They saw to it that as a member of the Santa Fe Trail Riders, I was able to take trick riding and roping lessons from a cowboy named Pinky Barnes. And Pinky saw to it that he bragged on me a lot to Clyde S. Miller. Miller ended up hiring my sisters and I, hired my dad to haul the bucking chutes. He gave up his job in Overland Park, Kansas. If he hadn't have done that, I probably wouldn't be here today. Mother was equally as important. She designed my costumes, made my costumes, kept in iron and pressed so that I looked neat. Then, she was also a good cook, so we all ate good. But anyway, they not only helped me as a kid, but they helped me all through life. So I'd give anything if they were here today, because I know they'd be proud. Thank you.
We have to have that optimism and enthusiasm. There is so much good. And I think you did get paid the other night. in Mercedes,
Absolutely.
Texas.
Absolutely.
I told the story about Sadie. She was atop those 3 horses. She had the will, the tenacity to fight cancer.
Right.
And when she got that standing ovation in the arena, you got paid.
That's where my faith and my strength has come from. True family, and that's rodeo.
Sure.
To help us be tough enough to fight what we have ahead.
Mm-hmm.
And just the struggles of being a coach, I've hauled 22 girls at one time with their families, with their boyfriends, with all
kinds of fun.
And just like last night, we got a call from a girl that we've been training with for 4 months, and she called and said she wasn't going to be there the next 2 weeks, and we have 2 important rodeos, and I know as well as you know, if you give your word, you're going to be there.
You're going to be there.
And it's not going to be her name, it's going to be my name.
Mm-hmm.
So I do go without a lot of sleep, but with the faith of people being around like y'all,
Mm-hmm.
and knowing what the true definition of guts is, that's, I always wake up with a better will and a better way to say, hey, well, we'll find another person to fit those shoes. So you constantly training. It'll never go out of our book, because I'm always going to be constantly training the girls, but I never want to leave this life. I mean, I always want to have a hand in it. It's been a beautiful thing for me to witness with a lot of girls turn their lives around, but the horses are incredible. And to take what JW has lived and given such of his life, to so many people, like he said, and for us to carry that on in a respectful manner. That's, that's one thing that I will put my foot down. We will respect him to the utmost, because he gave us a chance when not a whole lot of people would. And, I do believe in loyalty. I do believe in standing up for each other, and just the cowgirl way is who I am.
Cowgirl well. That's how champions are made.
It's been a wonderful life.
Did you teach them the work ethic that they have now? Because I got up at a particular rodeo and I make coffee early every morning, and I get up and this was daylight, and the girls are out there going through a routine at daylight.
I didn't teach them that. There's a limit to my teaching.
There's a limit there, but I tell you what, that's the dedication that it takes to make it.
Well,
You have to want it.
We don't want to disappoint folks like you.
No,
We
you're
didn't
not
want to
gonna
disappoint the
disappoint me.
military.
No,
We had very special people that evening, but we don't want to disappoint you, because you do rodeo for a living. You go every weekend, and we know you see a lot of great acts, and we just are in hopes that we can be a little bit better the next time you see us, and that's by practicing your craft. And we've got a night jacket colt that was given to us by Wing Rodeo Company. We've got him, he bucks, he's a bucking horse, but our goal is to trick ride off of him. And Sadie, he's beautiful.
Oh, I'm not going to be the one to trick out.
No, I wouldn't want to get on him. You work the big building rodeos and the black light, which was the thing at the time. And that's the reason you had Denver and Fort Worth
Not
and San
because I had
Antonio.
talent, but because I had black light.
No.
That's-
You had talent. I mean, you were a showman. And there's a difference about selling the show and being a showman and just doing the routine. JW could sell the routine. And when I was young and had a card and I worked with him, he was easy to sell. He didn't need an announcer, just JW. And Hot Diggity and some of those horses we remember quite well. We worked in all kinds of conditions. I bet you don't even realize what you did in '66, do you? You booked Denver, 19 perfs. You had one day to get to Fort Worth. How did you do it?
No.
You had 20 at Fort Worth. Then you had 9 at El Paso. How in the hell did you do that?
Then I went to Houston.
Then you went to Houston. That same year you worked Omaha, St. Louis, Kansas City, and you went to Calgary. Who was your mentor at the time? Who did you? There was Leonard Stroud, who was
Like Buff Brady.
Buff Brady.
John Wilcox.
Okay.
In fact, when I trick rode, they used to call me Little Wilcox.
Okay.
'Cause he could sure enough trick ride.
Sure.
But he trick rode like this. He could do a Billy Keane dive on one side, make the turn, do another Billy Keane dive. And when his run was over, his attitude was, I'm glad that's over. Now I've only got one more run to do. And Buff Brady was great too. And he had a tumbling roll back. He could stand on his horse, do a toss-off,
Right.
turn a somersault in the air and land on the ground spinning the rope, which is a little tough.
The suicide drag is always the Billy Keene suicide drag.
Right. He used to be a great trick rider before I came on the scene. And he developed that trick. And he won trick riding contest with it. The audience loves speed.
Little speed.
You can just ride around there fast and think, boy, he can really ride. You can ride around there slow and jump from side to side, do a tail stand and a cartwheel at the end. It's okay.
Yeah.
You know?
Right.
But speed impresses them.
You can't duplicate what somebody's doing.
Right.
I used to tell Clem McSpadden, I've stolen your prayer a time or two, kind of changed up. He said, oh, everybody has, you know, it's a compliment.
Yeah.
And I work with Clem a lot of times, you know, and we take from this, we take from that, but invariably you're going to get your own niche and go in there and do it. And I told the announcer school this year at Fort Worth, and I met all of them. There were about 15 in the class, and they came by to meet us. And I said, not everybody can do it. It's a hard job. And you think it's glamorous? It's not glamorous. It's hard work. It's work. It's physical work, mental work.
Well, we got a crowd tonight on a Saturday Night Live, and we got the contestants under the banner and sanction of the Professional Rodeo Cowboys Association.
The end result of all of this is digital recording, and that's what everybody tries to get now. Now, you can go to elaborate studios and all that, but it can be simplified now with software and computers, and the end results are something like this right here, if you do the mix. He was adored by people all over the world, and the top-paid movie star in Hollywood. Will Rogers never forgot where he came from, and he loved his native state of Oklahoma. He stood for respect, tradition, and values. Will Rogers was the epitome of the American Western heritage and cowboy culture. Look at that.
Roll back.
Roll back.
Something.
That gives me cold chills. Fred Lowry was a rancher in the Osage. I was getting ready for a live billboard at one time, and a very famous bull rider that we all know that's on television. And I got my headset on there, and they're talking to me in the sound truck. And I'm like this, and I'm about to go, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to Las Vegas, Nevada. You know, and I'm getting ready to do my deal. And he comes up and he takes the headsets and he pulls them like this and pops my ears. And we're 10 minutes till airtime. 10 seconds away till airtime. They're giving the countdown. And I'm like, blankety, in this truck, I beg your pardon? So the late George Michael of NBC Sports Machine was to my left, and he was laughing. They thought it was funny. I didn't think it was very funny, but we got it anyway. Again, those practical jokes that cowboys will do at your expense. Kind of like the famous stock contractor is sitting out there in the introductions, and then the national anthem's coming out, and the committee's out here, and the stock contractor's there, and this girl is just butchering the national anthem. And he said, turns to the committee chairman, he said, who is singing that national anthem? He said, that's my wife. He said, mighty fine job she's doing. You know, we talk about rural television and the network, and they're coming back with nostalgic shows of the Gene Autry, the Roy Rogers, and the real heroes. And I think we're missing heroes in our country. The military's our hero, that's for sure. But the cowboy hero will always be a part of our lives.
The cowboy hero was the original hero, more or less.
The original hero. So thanks to RFD and what you're doing, it's rural America, America's most important network. And stay in touch with more news from Rodeo and the All-American Cowgirl Chicks, Weatherford, Texas.
You know, folks, cowboys, they're a different lot. They're independent, they're brutally honest, they're fair, they stand for respect and tradition and values, and sometimes they're cantankerous as hell. But they are, nowadays, the best of what America has to offer. They endure. They've never called up the government and said, help me. They got too much pride. They ain't bred that way. Cowboys sometimes work from sunup to sundown, and they wouldn't know how to punch a time clock. They do work that others would refuse to do, like fix a water gap or tamp a fence post or ride all day when they're scalded. The inside of their knees are raw. but they ride on. Mama makes some sourdough biscuits with gravy at breakfast time way before daylight. She gets the kids ready for school and irons their breeches and starches their shirts, and they have pride in the way they look. There's no baggy pants hanging down on their butt for these kids. They say yes sir and yes ma'am, and they're taught respect. Cowboys are guilty of cussing sometimes. Well, they ain't perfect, but they do know the good Lord has blessed them. But you know, I'll ride the river with any of them boys. For the cowboy has and still is what America's all about. They perpetuate the Western image. And what's cool about that? They don't even know they do it.
Well, guys, we thank you for coming to our home. This is Miss Faye. We're the rodeo couple and the rodeo dog called Harley. I couldn't do without these two. I depend on Faye so much. I love her absolutely from the bottom of my heart. And you have gotten involved as well in the rodeo, traveling with us, going down the road, and to have met a lot of great committees and have a lot of friends. But then you got involved with the Children's Advocacy Center here locally. Yeah. And let's talk about that and what you do with that.
Well, right now, currently I'm serving as Vice President for the Children's Advocacy Center for Johnson County. We try to raise funds for children that have been abused. We try to do everything we can to raise money to keep our center open so that kids have a place to go, a safe haven to reclaim their lives again by being able to seek therapy and those sort of things, and we want to be able to provide that for them. So we have a fundraiser. We have a gala on a Friday night, a dinner auction, live auction, a silent auction, and then we have Saturday morning, we have a stick horse rodeo for all the children, which is a lot of fun. And then that night we have a PBR, and we have a celebrity amateur team roping, and then we have a celebrity team roping. So
people seem, even in bad economy, people seem to step up to the plate and give their hearts or soul to this organization, which is a great one for abused kids. And that Celebrity Pro-Am will feature guys like Larry Mahan and Roy Cooper, and this year Cody Old. We've had Fred Whitfield in there. We've had movie stars. We've had Buck Taylor. We've had Dean Smith. Barry Corbin's been with us. The Commissioner of Rodeo, Carl Stressman, Robert Lever from Wrangler. They'll be a part of it. So we're going to put our Justin boots on like we do every day, and we're going to support that great event for the kids. A great bull riding and a great event. And I'm kind of proud of her. And I couldn't go down the road without her. She keeps me straight. She lines out everything.
No, I try to keep him.
You try to keep me straight. And of course, Harley, the rodeo dog.
Everyone knows Harley.
So thank you guys for coming into our home, and thank you RFD Television, America's most rural network, most important network. Keep doing what you're doing. Respect, tradition, values in the family way.
Rodeo season is back, and so are the Cowgirl Chick Friends. You don't want to miss it. Wild rides, tough stuff. All-American Cowgirl Chicks Never Quit series only on RFD TV.
Southwestern Bell Mobile Systems, a new company made possible by a new technology called cellular.